Hi all, Ben here from East West, bringing you another video in our Python for Finance for Python Beginners series. So this video is part 2 of making better charts. Now the last time we took a look at Plotly. Now you may have thought that looked a little overly complex for what you want to do, and that's fair. It is a little bit fiddly, but here in part 2 we're going to take a look at a different package called Matplotlib Finance, or MPL Finance. So hopefully this is a little bit easier for you to navigate if you do want to use a bit of charting in Python. So let's get started here by opening a new blank notebook in our utilities folder. So I'll quickly go ahead and fill out the headings. So now the MPL Finance package does not come with Anaconda, so we need to install it. Now this is a simple process and one that you may have to do in the future anyway, so you may as well learn how to do it. So all you have to do in the first cell here is to type in !pip install MPL Finance, just like that. And then once you've got that typed in exactly the same, you just run the cell. Now, the first time you do it, you'll see down at the bottom of the message, it'll say like installation successful. I've already obviously installed this, but yeah, you just look for a successful installation message at the bottom there. So as long as you've installed it, you can do two things. You can either just comment this out if you want to leave that for future reference, or you can just cut the cell altogether. You don't, once it's installed, so you don't really need to run it again or anything like that. It's just a one-time thing. I'll also provide a link in the description for some of the MPL documentation, and you may even want to paste the link into the code so you have it in your own program, just as a quick reference. Okay, so we need to import the libraries, and we need to import a new library. So we just need Finance. We need MPL Finance as MPF, and we just will import the TA library as well. Okay, now that's done, we just need to import some data. Okay, and now that's done, all we got to do is type in. This is where things get a little bit easier than Plotly. So all we've got to type in is this: MPF. I should just heading that MPF.plot, and then what do you want to plot? You want to plot the data frame. That is it. You can literally just do it as simply as that. Now if you run that cell, that's what it throws out. So I think you could say that's pretty easy, and that's certainly a better chart than those standard Matplotlib charts that we were looking at originally. So the standard is just for an open, high, low, close chart, but I just think that's pretty good. I think for just a very simple line, that's not bad for a bog standard chart. The one thing we just do need though is we just got to make sure that the data frame has got an open, high, low, close. As long as it's sort of formatted the way that we've just downloaded it here in standard, then this will just MPF will just read that data frame, and they'll just put out this chart. All good. So it's pretty easy to add a few things in here. So let's just add in, the first thing we can do is we can say type equals. Now we can go candle as just a bit of a standard one. If we run that, then we've got a candlestick chart there. Now there's a couple of other types that it does. So it'll make a Renko chart, or you can have a standard line chart, or you can have a point and figure chart if that's your thing. So I think we'll just switch back to candles. Now the next thing that we've got here, which is kind of handy, is we've got a built-in moving average function. So to put that in, all we've got to do is go MAV, and then if we just want, say, the 20-day moving average, we can run that. Whoop, stop. Don't bracket that, just put MAV equals 20, and then it'll put in the moving averages for us like that. And also we can add in more than one, and this is where I just confused myself. If you want to add in more than one moving average, then you've just got to bracket them up like that, and then we close that bracket. And if we run this cell now, then we've got the 20 and the 50-day moving average on the chart. That's all pretty easy. So another thing we can do here is we can just add in the volume. This is just sort of the built-in stuff. We can say that to be true. And if we run the chart, now we've got the volume at the bottom. Then we can select if we want to see non-trading days. So we can just add that in. So we just put in show underscore non-trading like that. And that will just take the weekends and stuff out of the chart. Bit superfluous, but nonetheless. Now the next thing we can put in, which I think is quite handy, is tight underscore layout equals true. Now if we run the chart this way, it just sort of expands it out a bit, I think. Didn't like me doing that. I've always got tight layout equals true. It just sort of gives the chart a bit more room, I think. And lastly, we have a bunch of built-in styles that we can use. So style equals. So if you want to see a list of the styles, what we need to do is we just need to come down here to a new cell and we just need to type in mpf.available underscore styles, open close bracket, and run that cell. And you can see here, these are there's not too many of them, but these are the styles that we can choose. So I'm going to choose blue skies. So what we need to do here is we need to insert blue skies, but in apostrophe. So now if we just run this chart, there, that's just changed some of the colors around. Like I said, there's a few different styles that are sort of preset here. Pick any one you want, it doesn't really matter. So the limitations of this package, I mean, the problem is that's kind of it for customization. There's a few more things that you could play around with, but there's also a few workarounds. So I'll just show you the workarounds that I've got going. So let's say, for instance, that we wanted the exponential moving average. Now, right now it's just giving us it just gives us a simple moving average. I don't know if it's pre-built in to give an exponential moving average, but if it doesn't, there's a pretty simple sort of workaround. All we got to do first and foremost is, well, we've got to add if we want the exponential moving average, we've got to add that into the data frame. So that should be pretty straightforward. You should know how to do that by now. Now, as with Plotly, where we use that add trace to add in a data series, here we can do something similar. So first we have to create the variable EMA50 like that, and then we have to type in mpf.make underscore add plot. That's like the add trace. So from here it's pretty straightforward. All we've got to do is type in what we actually want to put in, which is of course the EMA50 from the data frame. We're going to make that a line. We want it a red line, and we're going to make the width 0.5. Now it's as easy as going back to just the simple mpf.plot, and then we want to plot the data frame, but we want to add plot, and the plot that we want to add is the one we just created called EMA50. So we'll just run this cell now, and there's the chart with the exponential moving average on it. Now, so we haven't used the presets here, we've just used the exponential moving average. Now, of course, you could come and add all this sort of stuff in, the type, etc. Just wouldn't, or you could add that in, but of course the whole point here is that we're using an exponential moving average that I'm pretty sure is not in the package as it stands. So we can of course add in more than one at a time. It's a little bit, I wouldn't say tricky, but it's just as long as you know how to do it. So say we also wanted the exponential 100 period, or 20, let's just say 25 period moving average. So let's just copy this, and we'll just make this EMA 25 and make that 25. Okay, so if we run that, that's now in the data frame. Now we were only talking about the EMA 50. So let's just change this to EMA because we're adding in more than one. Okay, so what we need to do is, if we just open a square bracket here, it's almost like a dictionary. We've got to then sort of repeat this line. So once we've done all that, we just need to put a comma, and then if we just copy all this code that we've made like this, and if we just paste it in like this, now we want to do the EMA 25. We wanted a different color. Let's make it blue, and we'll leave it the same width. But when we come back down here now, we're not doing the EMA 50, we're just doing the EMA. So we've defined two things that we want to add in, okay, into a dictionary, and then we're sort of just, for lack of a better term, and then we're just adding the dictionary. And I've just realized I haven't put the square bracket on the end there, so that would have killed the program. So let's just run this now, and there we go. We've got our two different moving averages, our 25 and our 50 moved in. If you wanted to put even more in, you just repeat the same process. But the whole point is, it only likes it if you add plot one thing. So whatever the one thing is, you've got to put everything inside that one thing, if that makes sense. Anyway, let's move on. Now, this is a bit rudimentary. I'll just show it to you just out of a bit of interest, but now we're just going to put in let's just go add a trend line. You can also add vertical lines and horizontal lines. If you want to do that, that is in the documentation. I'm pretty sure they're added in a pretty similar manner, but I'll just do this as a quick demonstration. So the first thing we need to do is declare a start date and an end date for the data like this. Actually, before we do that, let's just bring up a blank chart of the S&P, of the data frame that we're working on, like that. Cool. Now, as I said, we've got to bring in the dates that we want to join together. So I've actually gone and checked it out on my, like my trading view chart. So I know the actual date of the high here, and I'm just going to draw a line across the chart and connect it to this high here, because that is the one big trend line that every single person in the world knows. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to create a variable. Let's just add it in here. We've got to create a variable for those two dates. So I know the exact dates, so I'll add those in. So that's just like our start date and our end date, because I know the high was on the 4th of Jan, and I know that the low was on this high, I should say, was on the 1st of December. So that's the two dates that we want to draw the line through. Okay, next is we've got to start off by going mpf.plot like that, and then we open some brackets and we're going to plot the data frame. So it's just the same. In fact, you know what? Let's just get rid of that and let's just add it straight into this, because this is probably what we should do. Now we say T lines, as in trend lines, and that equals, and we've got to make a square bracket here, and then we've got to make a dictionary. So in that dictionary, we're going to say T lines equals date pairs. Okay, so we know that this is what we've created, so date pairs. Then we can simply colors. I don't know why it likes colors. It doesn't like color singular. It likes colors plural. Don't ask me why. I'm still battling away with this myself. I'm just trying to show you a couple of things that I've learned. And then we can put in line width. Now, once again, it likes it in the plural. It doesn't like it in the singular. So don't ask me why. All I can tell you is that if you type it in like this, it will work. So now let's just run this and see what it throws up. It didn't because I misspelt widths. Right, there we go. Now we've got that trend line drawn in, okay, like this. Now look, I've hunted around to try to find a way to extrapolate this line, basically extend it more into the future, and all I could find was the developers suggesting runarounds, and that they haven't really done anything with it. So I'm not really going to bother going on with this. That'll be explained in the summary. I just thought I'd demonstrate that's how you do it. Maybe the horizontal lines for support and resistance might be a bit more useful to you if you want to use these charts, but just have a look through the documentation on how to do that. It's similar to this. You'll just need some dates from which to draw off, but it's all there. So next, I'm just going to add in the RSI. So to do that, the first thing we need to do is, and when I say the RSI, you could add in whatever indicator you wanted, but for right now, all we need to do is actually add the RSI into the data frame. Hopefully you remember how to do that, and if you don't, go back to your your utilities folder and have a look. So if we run that cell, that's in there now. Now, the same way that we did up here to make the exponential moving average, we can even just copy this, because we do it almost exactly the same way, but we can start. So let's just say add the RSI, so we know what we're doing. And in fact, you know what, we should probably, if we're being this is probably better coding practice. If we do this, so of course we now are referencing the RSI. The type we can leave as line, the color we can leave as R, the width we can leave as the same, but there's a little difference that we've got to do now, because we're adding another, basically what the program refers to as a panel. We've now got to stipulate that we want panel to equal 1. Okay, and we might even just put in title equals RSI, just to be correct with that. So that now we've got to actually, that's what we've got to do. Took me a while to get there. So next, once we've done that, actually I should just backspace there, because that might freak the program out. Once we've done that, we can just come down here, and then we can just make our plot. So mpf.plot, and then what do we want to plot? We want to plot the data frame. Then let's make the type equals candle, like that. Just do a candle chart, and the volume, I'm not sure if I even have to put that in. I might just leave that out. I think if we don't stipulate that you want the volume, it won't put it in there. So the main panel, which is the one that's going to have the candlesticks in it, we're going to make that 0, and then we're going to simply go add plot, pardon me, we're going to go add plot, and that is going to be add plot. The add plot is going to equal what we just made above, which is the RSI, of course. Now I'm just going to put a couple more things on here. I'm just going to put in fig scale. I'm going to say that equals to 2, and I'm also going to add fig ratio, and that's going to equal 8:5. Once again, settings you can play around with yourself if you like. So let's just run this cell, and we'll see what it pops up. Hopefully there's no errors. There might be. Of course there's an error. Why? Because because I can't spell configuration. And actually, I'm not even trying to spell that. I'm trying to spell fig ratio. So there you go. That, oh, goodness me, that typo. There we go. We got there eventually. So there we got our chart with our RSI added in. If we wanted to add it in more stuff, we could, of course, just sort of follow the steps above. But that's just how you would split it up. You could do side-by-side charts. You can do as many panes as you want. Just a demonstration of how you might do that. Okay, finally, what I'll show you is let's make an intraday chart. This might be a bit more interesting for you. We'll just do this quickly. So we haven't done, this is just another function from MPL Finance that we haven't been over, but let's say SPX equals YF dot capital T ticker. Okay, and let's just say what are we going for here, and we want the GSPC being the S&P. Now a little bit different here. What we want to do now is go dot history, and then we want to go start equals, let's just get some data for December of this year, so 2022 12:01. Okay, we'll just comma, and then we'll end at, actually we won't put an end date in, we'll just leave it like that. But importantly, what we want to put in here now is let's go interval equals 1 hour, like that. Okay, now it's just as simple as doing another MPF plot line. So let me just paste that in because I've got it on a separate screen here. So MPF We just make the type candle. We'll give it a little title here. We'll just make the fig ratio this. The moving averages, let's just put them in. Tight layout true. And we're going to try the IBD style. So let's run this cell and see if it works. Hopefully it does. Yeah, there we go. Actually, you know what? I'm not sure I'm happy with that. I might just put the end date in, I think, and see if that helps it. So sorry there, I just made yet another typo. Interval is 1 hour, and then we've got the 1 hour chart there of the S&P 500. So just another little something you can do there. So that's it for charting, at least for now. Now you may have been thinking, man, that's a pain, and it's easier if I just use TradingView or whatever you have. And look, I'd agree. And I think that's why the packages won't really get developed that much, because online charting is so cheap and easy. It's not really worth a developer's time to replicate in Python, I think. However, when we build systems, it can be handy to visualize what the program is computing. So inserting charts to work out what's going on will be handy down the line. So like I said, I think that's it for charts for the moment. And in the next video, I'll move on to something else. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.